Alright guys, welcome to the Hellboy Q&A. And as always, if the mic sounds a little funny, that's because, I've got the fan running, and it's, it gets pretty hot in my room, so I wasn't going to do a Q&A like this without the fan, because it gets pretty fucking hot in my room, so I'm sorry if the audio quality is a little messed up. Also, in case I didn't answer someone's question, that usually means YouTube either marked it as spam or something else happened to it, so I do apologize for that. Sorry, I had to close the door. Anyway, so let's get started with Tao Jones T. Jones, who asks, who do you think should play Hellboy in a reboot movie series? Can't really think of anyone outside of Ron Perlman, however. Yeah, can't really think of anyone outside of Ron Perlman, because when you think Hellboy, that's the voice I usually think of, because he just nails it right out the gate. Anyway, so thank you for those questions. Next comes Billy McCary, hope I'm saying that last name right, who asks, how would you make a Hellboy Invader Zim fanfiction? I don't know. Aliens were never really a big thing with Hellboy, so I couldn't tell you. Second question. Would you put Hellboy in a hero-villain mashup with him from the Powerpuff Girls? I don't know, maybe. Hellboy meets Spawn, what happens? Utter chaos, I guess? That's kind of what I'm kind of saying here, utter chaos. Anyway. So thank you for those questions, Billy. Moving on now to Christian Sager, who asks, Hellboy meets Alexander Anderson, what happens? It's kind of funny, because there actually is a fanfiction on fanfiction.net where Hellboy and Anderson have to team up. And it's awesome because it's like a buddy cop it's like a buddy cop movie where the BPRD and Iscariot have to team up to fight an enemy. So they send their they send Anderson and Hellboy after this threat, and it's awesome of seeing these two characters have to work together while at the same time trying to kill each other. Second, if I remember right, I'll actually look up the fanfiction title for you guys real quick. Give me 1 second. Because I really want people to read this. It's actually a lot of fun. Sorry, I'm looking for it right now. That's why it's kind of silent. Oh, are you kidding me? It got taken down? Are you kidding me? Oh, it's a really good crossover, too. Sorry, guys. That sucks. Anyway. Second question. If they do make another combat pack with MKX, what do you think of Hellboy as the next guest character? I think that would be a lot of fun, the right hand of doom smashing someone's skull open or shoving his gun down someone's throat and pulling the trigger. I think those would be cool fatalities, honestly. Anyway, second question. Who is a better adoptive father figure, Alfred Pennyworth or Trevor Bruttenholm? Cannot pronounce that name. Gotta give it to Trevor, because that dude, that dude was an excellent father figure. Not to discredit Alfred Pennyworth, but yeah. Anyway. So thank you for those questions, Christian. Moving on now to Jason Voorhees 2011, who asks, do you think Hellboy 3 should happen, and if so, what would you like to see in it? I really don't know, because Hellboy 3 has just been in development hell, and I guess maybe have the twins that they've mentioned in the second story. I don't know. I'd like to see Lobster Johnson in the movie. If you know your BPRD comics, then you know who Lobster Johnson is. I would like to see him. I'd like to see. I'd like to see him. Yeah, that's kind of the only character I could really think of that I'd really like to see. What are your top 3 Hellboy crossovers that you would like to see? Top 3 Hellboy crossover. Oh yeah, the other thing I want to see in Hellboy 3, is Hellboy going to damn the whole world? That's the other thing. Second question, what are your top 3 Hellboy crossovers? Hellboy and Hellsing, the anime. Hellboy and Spawn. Hellboy and Spawn, and Hellboy and Gravity Falls. There you go. So think of those questions, Jason. Moving on now to Matt Bennett, who asks, do you think Hellboy could work as a guest character in a future Mortal Kombat game? Already answered that one. Sorry, Matt. Moving on now to George Paldillo, who asks, Hellboy and Lobo meet Bayonetta. What happens? The most weirdest three-way I've ever seen. That's what happens. Think of those questions, George. Moving on now to King Nazaru, who asks, what would Hellboy's reaction be to learning that Captain America has actually been a Hydra agent all along of his own free will? Well, it turns out that the Hydra agent thing was actually Red Skull implanting fake memories through another villain's help. So, yeah, I feel really silly for being the whole, Captain America was a Hydra agent the whole time. But no, that's what I get for jumping the gun. The second question. How screwed would people be if they got in the crossfire of Hellboy, Alucard, Beelzemon shooting at each other? There would be nothing left but bloody chunks all over the ground. That would be the general consensus, that there'd just be bloody, bloody chunks all over the goddamn ground. Third question. Do you think Hellboy might like the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman? I don't know. Hellboy isn't really a moviegoer, per se. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it was the. I think it was the Cosmic Cube or the help of another villain with Captain America. Anyway, so thank you for those questions, Nazaru. Moving on now to the Omnitron12345, who asks, do you think we should have a Lobster Johnson comic about him when he was alive? Yep. Yep. Hellboy meets DC's Blue Devil. What happens? Shit ton of ass kicking. That's what happens. Those two together, yeah. Hellboy ends up on Mars and encounters Doom Guy. How does it go down? Probably pretty bloody at first, and then they realize, oh yeah, these other demons are what we're really fighting here. Let's put aside our little differences here and get to fighting those guys. So third question. Oh wait, that was your third question. So thank you for those questions, Omnitron. Moving on now to Malingar, who asks, what would Skeletor say when he sees Hellboy? Yes! A new enemy outside of He-Man! God damn it! Ugh. I knew it! I knew you people were going to get me to do the Skeletor voice. Yes! I will destroy this Hellboy, and then I shall destroy He-Man! Fuck! Alright. Second question. How would the Doctor explain Hellboy's origin? You're the son of King Arthur through being a descendant of Mordred, because, Morgan Le Fay was his sister, and it's weird. You're the spawn of an incest child. Yeah, for those who don't know, Hellboy is the direct descendant of King Arthur, and he actually has Excalibur. Reason being is because he's a direct descendant of Mordred, who was the incest baby of Arthur and his sister, Morgan Le Fay. Third question. Hellboy meets the Animaniacs in Freakazoid. What happens? It's a freaky time. That's what's going to happen. Like, Hellboy being like, are you sure you guys ain't goblins and demons? Whatever, I need a smoke. Alright. So thank you for those questions, Malingar. Moving on now to Nicholas Harley, who asks, what is Hellboy about? Hellboy is the story of the son of a demon who comes to Earth and works for a supernatural group called the Bureau of Protection of... It's a group that fights monsters, and he's their top agent, and he fights crazy shit. Second question. Hellboy Yu Yu Hakusho crossover. How would you do it? Maybe have it that Hellboy's in Japan, and he's investigating a series of bloody demonic murders, and he comes across Yusuke, who thinks he's a demon right out the gate, and hilarity ensues. Third question. Hellboy meets Spider-Man. What happens next? Spider-Man isn't a big believer in the magical realm. Used to be, but now I think he's a little more eye-open because, he gave his marriage away to, Mephisto. So, I would say, I would say probably it'd be a lot of fun. Sorry, I had to get some water. Anyway. Thank you for those questions, Nicholas. Moving on now to Cash Smith, who asks, would Red benefit from an anime series in a similar style of his pre-existing animated movie? Yeah, I would like to see a Hellboy anime. I would absolutely love that. Crossover with Berserk. I don't know how that would go, but it would be pretty awesome to see Guts and Hellboy killing their way through demons. Third question. A poker game between Red, Ben Grimm, Logan, John Constantine, Nick Fury, Lobo, and L from Death Note takes place. Who would win and who would be... and by consequences, and say your favorite Hellboy quote as 80 Skeletor. I don't know. Probably Ben, because, Ben is actually a pretty good gambler. He's really good with his cards, so I'd have to give it to him. Thank you for those questions, Cash. Moving on now to Jackie Lee, who asks, Hellboy encounters Hellspawn. What happens? Well, Hellspawn's really an alien, so I think he'd be like, oh, you're not my jurisdiction. Later. How powerful is Hellboy? Well, Hellboy is the son of a very powerful demon. Not Satan, but a different demon. And he does have strength, it tends to wane now and again. He does wield Excalibur. He's an exorcist, high durability, resistant to fire, but I wouldn't say he's like Superman powerful. Yeah, he's like on par with, I don't know, the Thing in terms of strength. Anyway, so there you go. Third question: Hellboy Darksiders crossover. How would it go? Maybe Hellboy is hunting for Dmitry Maximoff and he encounters the other Darkstalkers? I don't know. Oh, Darksiders. I guess you're talking about the Horsemen of War and all that? I don't know. End of the world stuff is under his jurisdiction, so I don't know. But thank you for those questions, Jackie Lee. Moving on now to Green Arrow Hunter, who asks, Hellboy versus Ben Grimm, who wins? That's a tough one, because Hellboy, like I said, Hellboy and the Thing are kind of on par in strength. They're both incredibly resistant to a lot of pain, so I don't know. They're both pretty good fighters as well, so I really don't know who would come out on top in this match. Second question: how would you write a Hellboy TMNT crossover? Maybe having this ancient Japanese spirit has been freed from some kind of seal, and now it wants revenge on Hamato Yoshi and his 4 sons. Because if you go by the IDW comics, Splinter and the Turtles are the reincarnation of Hamato Yoshi and his 4 sons. So he's like, yeah, I'm going to go after them, and Hellboy has to get caught up in this mess. Third question: do you think that Hellboy could lift Mjolnir? I don't know. I guess his demonic power, but he is pure of heart, so gonna put that one in the maybe pile. But thank you for those questions, Green Arrow Hunter. Moving on now to Travis Rendon, who asks, how would an animated movie, comic, or animated TV series focus on the kid of Hellboy and Liz from the live-action movie? Could it work? Yeah, it could work, but they were going to have twins, so I don't know how that's going to go down. It'd be the weirdest parody of Gravity Falls ever, I can tell you that. Second question: if you were to design a supernatural being to work with Hellboy and the organization, what would it be and why? I don't know. Give it a werewolf. I like werewolves. Let it be a werewolf. Third question. Okay, serious, dude. I need to know what's the deal with all the fucking cats Hellboy has in the action movies. It's not like does he have cats in the comics? He has a few cats, but I guess Guillermo del Toro really wanted to be a cat person. Anyway. So, moving on now to Wolfman the Impaler, who asks, Hellboy and Ash team up to fight the Cenobites. On a scale of 1 to 10, how awesome would that be? That'd be a 25 on the awesome scale. Totally. Second question: if Capcom suddenly got good again and made a proper Darkstalkers game, would you like to see Hellboy and company guest stars characters, and how would they fight? Hellboy would probably, I don't know about all the other characters, but Hellboy would definitely be a power fighter, where he'd be durable and, have a lot of good hits to him. I guess the pistol would be a long-range attack. But anyway, so there you go. Third question. Hellboy meets Stephen, Connie, and the rest of Beach City. What happens? Magical rocks. I'm too old for this shit. Yeah, and Steve would be like, "Oh, can I shoot your gun?" And Pearl would be like, "No, we're not shooting guns in the house, especially giant guns." Anyway, so thank you for those questions, Wolfman the Impaler. Moving on now to Darth Venom, who asks, what comic book villains from Marvel and DC would be great foes for Hellboy? DC would be Neron, the Key, a lot of supernatural villains mostly. The Enchantress on both Marvel and DC side, Scarecrow, the Marvel Scarecrow that could control fear, Mephisto, a lot of Doctor Strange's villains, Suma Gorath, those guys. Hellboy meets Daredevil and Elektra, what happens? Hellboy fighting the Hand is always a cool idea. Third question, how would Hellboy react to Spider-Man making a deal with Mephisto, who is supposedly the devil? He'd be like, "Dude, what the fuck were you thinking? Giving your marriage to Satan? What is wrong with you? What the fuck? What the flying fuck, dude?" Anyway, thank you for those questions, Darth Venom. Moving on now to Alexander Anayas, who asks, Hellboy and the BPRD are attracted to the supernatural activity in Gravity Falls. What would happen? Man, that would be great. Having Hellboy wander around in the, and fighting the Manitors. Like, he just gets into a fight with Leaderor and he tries to eat him. He just shoots his way out of Leaderor's stomach. Fighting the Gremmoblin. Giving Bill the finger. Bill finger. Batman joke. That's funny. I'm funny. So yeah, kind of like that. Also, Hellboy and Stan sharing a cigar. That would be awesome. Because let's face it, Stan looks like a smoker. Like, he looks like he would just be lighting cigars all the time. Second question. What is your favorite Hellboy comic? There's a one-shot called Hellboy in Mexico, which is a lot of fun. The box full of evil is really good. The Right Hand of Doom. Yeah, there's a ton, really. Those are some of my favorite stories. The story of the creatures the Japanese creatures who could remove from their heads. It was put in the Ant Sword of Storm movie, but it was actually based on one of the comics. Anyway, and I already answered the Hellboy Crystal Gems thing, so there you go. But think of those questions regardless, Alexander. Moving on now to Andrew Varney, who asks, Hellboy meets Sans and Papyrus. What happens next? I think first he would try to be like, "Oh man, skeletons, I've had enough of your bullshit," and then be like, "Oh, you're cool guys. Let's hang out." I just imagine Hellboy would just take it easy with Sans. Anyway, second question. Hellboy reacts to the following. Being invited for a spin through time and space in the TARDIS with the Doctor, teaming up with the Power Rangers, fighting Dormammu alongside Doctor Strange, playing poker with the likes of Grunkle Stan, Bender, Archer, Bill Cipher, Flowey, Yellow Diamond, and Rick Sanchez. I think it would be like looking at the poker game, he'd be like, "I need a new circle of friends." Fighting Dormammu along Doctor Strange, he'd just be like, "You cast spells, I shoot." And the Power Rangers, he'd be like, "I don't even want to be associated with you people." And time traveling with the Doctor, I think he would be like, "Take me back to World War II. I didn't get a chance to fully kick Hitler's ass." Anyway, thank you for those questions, Andrew Varney. Moving on now to Mitch Meister, who asks, Hellboy and the BPRD crossover with Alucard and Hellsing. What story would that be? I'm going to answer this one because this is more... the other one was about Anderson. This is going to be more about the Hellsing group. I would imagine that if the BPRD and Hellsing organization were in the same universe, they would know about one another, especially since they both fought in World War II. So, I would imagine that the two, I wouldn't say are the same company, but same organization, but they're sister organizations, and while Hellsing deals with everything in Europe, all the monsters in Europe, BPRD handles all the stuff in the West. Even though, yeah, it kind of crosses over. And I'd imagine Alucard and Hellboy would work together several times on multiple occasions, just be like, "Hey man," it'd just be like, yeah, they're probably monster buddies. # monster bros. Anyway, so second question: thoughts on the Hellboy animated movies? I love them both. It's really hard to say which is more of my favorite, which is I really enjoy the most, because they're both really good in their own respects. So yeah, I really don't know which is my favorite, honestly. Third question: if there was a Kickstarter or GoFundMe for Hellboy 3, would you support it? Yeah, but that would be in need of a huge a huge budget, honestly. Anyway, so thank you for those questions, Mitch Meister. Moving on now to Dylan Malone, who asks, what is your favorite Hellboy villain? Rasputin's a really kick-ass villain, and a lot of the demons like Astaroth and Mammon and the other demons are really awesome as well. Yeah, those guys. I already answered the favorite comics. Third question. If you could put Hellboy into a superhero team, what team would it be and why? I'd have to put him on the Midnight Suns or the Justice League Dark, because, yeah, that's where he'd more than likely fit. Thank you for those questions, Dylan Malone. Moving on now to Matt Kaiser 08, who asks, Hellboy meets Deadpool, and what do you think they would think of each other? Get the hell out of my face, freak. Oh, make me, you big red fucker. They didn't know each other, that's what I'm trying to say. Could Hellboy stand a chance against a fight with Sadako and Kayako? Probably. He's fought Japanese demons before and vengeful spirits, so yeah, I think he could take them. Hellboy Godzilla crossover. How would you write it? I don't know. Maybe have a demonic kaiju rise out of the ground. Something like that. So thank you for those questions. Matt Kaiser. Moving on now to Jesse Sutres, who asks, how would you craft a BPRD book wherein the team has to protect an analog of Guillermo del Toro from the creatures present in his films? I really don't know, honestly. I really don't know how I would do that. Anyway, if the film version of Hellboy met his comic book counterpart after being cast down into the underworld, what events would transpire from there? Hey man, how's it going? It'd just be like, yep, dealing with this shit too. Oh, you already fought Rasputin? Me too. Fought the lizard lady? Yeah, me too. Third question. What does it frustrate you that the Hellboy animated films will never be as corporeous as the DC animated films? Yeah, it pissed me off that we only got, 2, and they were both excellent. They were both really good, but then we keep getting these same DC films that have recently just been a whole lot of nothing. Third question. Oh wait, that was the third question. So thank you for those questions, Jesse. Moving on now to Major Badass, who asks, how would Red react to having a mentor chaperone from a new squad of having to be the chaperone to a new squad of trainees from BPRD consisting of Dipper, Norman from Paranorman, Dib, Ronaldo Fryman, and how would they each react to him? He'd be like, oh god, are we looking at kids now? When do we start doing a junior program? What the hell? Second question. I'm not sure how familiar you are with SCP and the lore. What would you think of... I really don't know what SCP stands for, so I really can't answer that, whatever it is. Sorry. Third question. If they were to make a third Hellboy animated film, which mythology would you want it based on? And what creatures would you like to have him face? I think it would be cool to see him do battle with... I would like to see him do battle with the likes of, I don't know, the Greek gods, or something in the Norse mythology. Yeah, Hellboy fighting the Norse mythology, like him going, fighting Ymir. That'd be cool. So, thank you for those questions, Major Badass. Moving on now to Andre Partridge, who asks, what will happen if Hellboy and the BPRD met up with Mystery Inc.? I think he'd be like, is that a talking dog? That dog's going down, man. If it talks another word, I'm gonna shoot it in the fucking face. Alright. Second question. If Hellboy met with Wolverine at a bar, what would they talk about? all the crazy shit they've done. Literally, it's like, oh, you fought a giant snake, I fought giant robots. You fought a giant vampire, I turned into a werewolf once. It was fucking weird. Anyway, Freddy Krueger tries to invade Hellboy's dream. What will happen next? Buddy, you broke into the wrong dream. Uh-oh. Yeah, uh-oh's right. And then he'd have his claws shoved up his own ass. Because Hellboy doesn't like his sleep being interrupted. Anyway. So think of those questions. Andre Partridge moving on now to One of None, who asks, Hellboy is ponyfied. Does he, in Ponyville, does he pet the ponies? Yeah, he probably pets the ponies. He'd be like, you are so cute. Hellboy and Ladybug, now dead is Hawkmoth. Oh, Hellboy and Ladybug, how dead is Hawkmoth? Pretty dead. And I already answered the Crystal Gem and Steven thing. So think of those questions, One of None. Moving on now to Evan Jarvis, who asks, if Hellboy was one of the Avengers, what would he think of the other members that he would like or hate? Who would he like among them? I think he'd get along with Thor, and I don't think he'd get into drinking games with Tony. But I think he'd have a lot of respect for Captain America, honestly. I think that, I think he would be pretty cool on that one. Hellboy, what would Hellboy think of Buffy and Angel? He'd be like, man, you guys want a job? We got summer part-time gigs at BPRD. You guys want in? Anyway. So, moving right along to Alistair Boneman, who asks, Hellboy gets unstuck in time and reality, and how would he react to the following? Cemetery Girl from Cemetery Girl, Van Helsing from The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing, Skullduggery Pleasant, Buffy. I don't know half these characters, dude. The Witchblade user, Tamil from Elder Scrolls Fallout, and for shits and giggles, the Imperium of Man from Warhammer. I think he would all be like, I really need to stop the time-traveling thing. Second question. How would Hellboy deal with and react with the following Bloodthirster of Crom, the Great Unclean One of Nergal, the Greater Demon in charge of... Again, don't know this, so sorry. I can't really answer this because I don't play a lot of Warhammer. Sorry, I just don't know. Anyway, sorry, dude. Second question. If you were to make a villain for the next Hellboy movie, who would it be and what would be the goals and gimmick? I'd say maybe another Hellspawn, like another being from hell, maybe like a sibling of Hellboy. Because I'm pretty sure the demons probably have more than one kid. So, maybe, I don't know, someone like that. Necromancy as well. So thank you for those questions, Alistair Boneman. Moving on now to the Spawn 117, who asks, what do you think, what would happen if Hellboy went up against Jason Voorhees? Jason would be cut down to a size, but I think Hellboy would be limping away from this fight. Like, he would just be, forced to keep, to limp away from a matchup like this. And I already answered the favorite Hellboy stories. Hellboy Evil Dead. It would be fun, like, Hellboy has to go find the Necronomicon, and Deadites are involved. And, of course, have Ash there. Alright. Jesus. Just looking through all the questions, like, yeah, there's a ton. There's still a ton. So moving on now to Nolan Uno, who asks, Hellboy meets the Mothra Fairies and Jet Jaguar. What does he think of them? I think the Mothra Fairies, he'd be like, you're cute. And Jet Jaguar would be like, robot. Haven't worked with one of those in a while. Can you give give Hellboy a list of 5 characters you want him to kick the living shit out of? I don't know. Really don't. Third question. What team would you put Hellboy on? Oh, I already answered this one. Sorry, Nolan. Yeah, thank you for those questions regardless. Moving on now to Darth Nerdum, who asks, Hellboy and Ash from Evil Dead be friends. Who would win in a fight? I don't know. Ash is pretty durable for a human, and he's pretty smart. He's a pretty think on his feet character. But honestly, I'd give it to Hellboy. He's got the endurance and the firepower. So thank you for that question, Darth Nerdum. Moving on now to The Great Southern Trendkill 85, who asks, what would you think of a Hellboy Millennium crossover? Can't really answer that because I haven't really watched Millennium. Who or what from the comics would you like to see in the third movie? Easy. Lobster Johnson. Did you ever play the Hellboy Science of Evil game? How was it for me? I played a little of it. I kind of liked it, but it just kind of dragged on, and the game and the fighting mechanics kind of got a little junky for me. Anyway, thank you for those questions. Southern Trendkill. Moving on now to Shockwave Spider, who asks, who would win, Hellboy versus Deathstroke? Hellboy might give the edge because he's got the durability, but Deathstroke can take a lot of pain. And he's fought demons before, so I don't know. Which Hellboy story do you think is a good startup point? I don't know. I guess go from first volume of Mike Mignola's collections and go from there. And I already answered the Hellboy villain question, so thank you for those questions. Shockwave Spider. Moving on now to Awesome Rebel 55, who asks, what would happen if Hellboy ended up in Beach... Again, answer this question. If Hellboy was a animated series, what would you make it about and why? I think I would base it a lot on the animated movies and have Ron Perlman come back to voice Hellboy, because I can't see anyone else voicing that character other than him. So that would be the case, and yeah, just have it a lot of him going out and hunting monsters. Maybe do some adaptations of the comics. Anyway, sorry I had to get a drink. The third question. Since Arrow made a crossover episode with Constantine in it, can you think of a scenario which Flash and Hellboy have to work together? Maybe have some kind of demon creature that can feed on speed energy, and Hellboy's been tracking it to this city? I don't know. That's kind of the loose idea. So think of those questions. Awesome Rebel. Moving on now to the Son of the Dragon, who asks, what would happen if Hellboy, Abe, Liz, Joanne, and the Professor met Alucard, Ceres, Integra, and Pip and Walter from Hellsing? I think if they exist in the same universe, they'd be aware of each other and be buddy a lot. Buddy as monsters can be. Let me rephrase. How would Hellboy and his team react to the characters from RWBY as well as all their weapons and monsters? I think Hellboy would want RWBY's gun scythe. Like, he'd just be like, I want that. Gimme. What would happen in these three crossovers? MLP, Steven Universe, last but not least, Ash Williams. Already answered the Ash Williams one. Steven Universe kind of already answered that one. MLP, maybe have it that it'd be in the Equestria Girls universe, and maybe have it that there's a demon running around using Sunset Shimmer's body as its vessel, and Hellboy has to exorcise her. Something like that. Anyway, moving on now to Athavan Rogingham, who asks, how would you see a joint mission between BPRD, the Hellsing Organization, and Libra from Blood Blockade Battlefront? They're all being... And just because... Also, I want to bring something up. He said that they're published by Dark Horse, so it could be possible. Yeah, even though the manga is published by Dark Horse, that doesn't mean they're licensed by Dark Horse. They're still under the manga creators, but it could be possible. I mean, if they could work out, like you said, if they could work out a deal between the creators, I think that'd be a lot of fun. So, yeah. I don't know how it would go, but it'd be a lot of fun. Second question. Drink off between Hellboy and Lobo. Who wins? Lobo, because that man has been drinking alcohol and taming it like it's his bitch for centuries. Third question. How do you think a Hellboy video game would work? Well, we already had one with the Science of Evil, so yeah, it kind of answered that question, but a little more better gaming mechanics, because the fighting got a little stiff and the camera angles got messed up a few times. Work out those bugs and you got a really good game. Anyway, so moving right along to 25 Kid, who asks, who would win in death battle between Hellboy or Doomsday? As much as I think Hellboy can deal a lot of damage, and he fought Anubis once. Ah, man, that is true. He has fought gods before. So, I don't know. Second question. What if there was a Hellboy 3? I think that'd be, again, a lot of fun. Third question. What if Hellboy teamed up with Invincible, Savage Dragon, Witchblade, and Spawn? And what would that team be called? The Paradigm? I don't know. I'm not good at team names. But anyway, thank you for those questions. 25 Kid. Moving on now to Brian Cam, who asks, what are your thoughts on HB and Abe singing Can't Smile Without You from Hellboy? That'd be hilarious. And didn't that happen in the movie? Second question. Who do you think is a bigger dumbass and jerk and why? Tom Manning or Walter Peck? No. Third question. I don't know if this counts, but if you think Malekith from Thor 2 would have been a better villain than the filmmakers and made him more... yeah, that would have been like making him more like Prince Nuada from the Golden Army. Yeah, I think he would have been a better written villain. So anyway, thank you for those questions, Brian. Moving on to Action Fan 19, who asks, Hellboy gets into an arm wrestling match with Fisto from Masters of the Universe. How long does it last? For decades. Second question. Scale of 1 to 10, how awesome would it be if Thor and Hellboy teamed up to fight Surtur? 30. How do you think a meeting between Abe Sapien and Aquaman would go down? Aquaman would try to be like, I control you, you bastard. He's like, what are you doing? Why do I feel so weird? Anyway. So there you go. So moving on now to Joe Jr. Johnston, who asks, you said that Hellboy fought Anubis. Did that actually happen? Yeah, it did. He fought the god of the dead who was pretending to be a dog. And yeah, the dog revealed itself to be Anubis. Hellboy proceeded to fight it. So there you go. Thank you for that question, Joe. Moving on now to Fox Mulder, who asks, Hellboy meets the Mask. What happens? I'm surprised because they were both under Dark Horse. I'm surprised that never got to be a crossover. They were both under the Dark Horse title, so surprised that never happened because I would love to see Hellboy wearing the mask. Why wasn't that a thing? Just utter chaos, mind you. Second question. The BPRD meets the Soul Eater crew. What happens? Hellboy gets annoyed by Death Jr.'s constant, need for symmetrical stuff, and him and Soul chill and eat hamburgers. That'd be fun. Hellboy versus Lord Dominator. Who wins? Gotta give it to Hellboy because he can take a lot of damage. Plus, he's a little, he's a think on his feet kind of character, and he keeps his mind focused where, Dominator's just smash, 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 smash. So anyway, moving on now to Dodge the Booty Hunter, who asks, how... I don't know if the mic's going to pick that up, but someone's car alarm went off. Right, anyway. Sorry, I just wanted to wait until that car alarm went off. Anyway. So, Dodge the Booty Hunter's question is, how would Hellboy react to being transported to Equestria? He'd think it'd probably be the weirdest shit ever, and probably want to go home immediately. Just get the fuck out of there immediately. Second question. How would he and his crew react to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria? Terrified, and probably disgusted, as well as horrified and saddened. That being said, he's probably going to whoop some Freddy Fazbear ass. So thank you for those questions, Dodge. Moving on now to Pinky Pool Gamer Brony, who asks, what would happen if Steven from Steven Universe met Hellboy? Already answered this one. Hellboy goes up against a zombie army. What would happen? He's fought zombies before in mass legions, and he's taken them on. Hellboy meets Batman. What would happen? Batman's already met Hellboy. There was actually a Batman-Hellboy crossover that even had Starman in the story as well. And they fought magical Nazis. It was really weird. So yeah, to answer the question, yeah, Hellboy has encountered Batman before. So thank you for those questions. Moving on now to Media Detective, who asks, Hellboy versus Mr. Sinister. That would be actually an awesome fight. I really don't know who would win, but that would be pretty epic because Sinister can deal out a lot of damage and take a lot of damage as well. So This would actually be a pretty bloody fight, honestly. Second question. Do you think Hellboy can kill the Count from Berserk? He's that big slug monster from Volumes 2 and 3. Possibly. He's taken on a lot worse, so I wouldn't put it past him. Third question. Do you think H.P. Lovecraft monsters will be anything Hellboy related? Do you think H.P. Lovecraft monsters will be anything Hellboy related? I think they've been mentioned a few times in the comics before, but never directly, or creatures based off of them. But yeah, I think they have something like akin to them have been in comics before. Anyway, so there you go, guys. That is all the questions. I want to thank everyone who sent in questions. And again, sorry for the mic. And if I did not answer someone's question, that usually means it wasn't on the list because of YouTube. But once again, I hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.